Hi everyone, this is Tyler Constable with Avantra, and welcome to the Composite Checks training video. In this, we're going to show how you can take individual checks, group them together, and kind of notify and take action and dashboard when certain things occur when all the stars align. So looking forward to showing you around.
When you're within Avantra, to get to the Composite Checks, we select the Configuration dropdown and select Composite Checks. A composite check is a way to group a set of checks and act as a single check. So an example might be, maybe perhaps you don't necessarily mind if CPU is high, maybe you don't mind if memory is high, but together if both CPU and memory are both high at the same time, then you want to know. So then you would like it on a dashboard or on a notification or so on and so forth. So it's a very simple example. You could add a lot more, essentially any way to group a set of checks and have them act as a single check. So to do so, we're going to select the new button here, and first we'll name it. It's our trading composite. Select a customer, and then we're going to select, for this example, let's call it SAP Systems. So we're going to use SAP System Checks in this example. You'll see a new set of tabs have opened up. First things first, we're going to select Scope, and we can select which systems this is going to be associated with. In this example, I'm going to have this work across all systems across this customer called Riesling. Next, I'm going to select the Design tab, and here you'll see the Composite Check build site. On the left-hand side, there's a toolbox and the input checks. First things first, we need to focus on our toolbox. I'm going to select the Functions dropdown, and in here are the different functions of how we can group the checks together. So this first one here, all okay, means that if out of all of the checks I'm going to put in this grouping or in this composite check, if all of them are okay, then I want this particular check to act as a certain status. If just one thing is okay, right? So if I've got 10 things, they're all red, but just one thing is okay status, then I want this composite check to have this kind of status. Again, warning, critical, so on and so forth. Worst is if there is just, out of all the checks, one check that is in critical status. Espresso, unless you pick how many you want. So if you've got, 10 things in, you can say, all right, if 7 out of the 10 things go into critical status, then this composite check can be critical. Script lets you use if-else statements, and you can also build out a delay. So for this example, I'm going to use an espresso. So to select espresso, I need to click and drag. So by holding on here, you'll see it's red. And as soon as I put it on top of the training composite check, it goes green and I release the mouse. So here I can see I now have an espresso. I'm going to go down to the SAP system and I'm going to use built-in checks. Now I'm just going to pick a couple random things here. So let's use our, let's say the database connect. I'm going to connect, drag it over, and bring it on top of espresso. Obviously that's a pretty important one, but just for example's sake here. HDB in Avantra means HANA, so I'm going to say, all right, if I grab a couple more of these over, and again, I'm just selecting, clicking them and dragging them over on top of the espresso box here. So I've got a handful of HANA checks. I can also search here as well. And just keep adding some different ones here. So basically, in this very simplistic example, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 HANA checks. What I'm going to ask the system to do is, and again, it's maybe a poor example, but still an example where if just one of these things goes into critical status, maybe I don't care, right? But if, let's say, 4 out of these 6 go into critical status, then I know something is going on with my HANA environment, and I want to use it, put that composite check on a dashboard, use it for notifications, using it for automation, right? So it's become very, very powerful. So as I select the espresso box here, you'll notice a new box has occurred over here on the right hand side. This is where I can build out my statements. So I'm going to use the if the number of critical checks is greater than or equal to or then I want the composite check to return as critical. Otherwise, everything is just in OK status. Then from here, I simply just select Save and Set Active, and my composite check will then show in the checks from which we have selected within the scope. As a recap, in this session, we focused on the purpose of composite checks and how to create a composite check.